Hey, this is Annie or Liucid, and you probably clicked into this video because you were curious as to what being a Skillshare teacher is like and how do you create a structure and a formula for your courses so that you can put it on Skillshare, right? And so this is going to be based off of my experience, and I'm gonna be honest, my experience is quite limited because I just created one course with the help of Skillshare. So maybe that might be insightful, and if you're curious to hear more, let's dive right in and let's get lucid. So I think back in, maybe it was end of September in October, I actually signed up for a program that Skillshare has, which is their Teach Lab program. And this program is actually invitation based only. So the invitation actually came through Adobe Creative Residency grant, and I'll link that here somewhere, but you can check that video out on, what the Adobe Creative Residency grant is and how you might be able to apply. So back on track, I actually jumped at the opportunity to do this because I've actually been meaning to create a Skillshare class for some time, and if I go through my journal, it's actually been dated probably back in like 2017 or something like that, but way back then I wrote in my journal, like, one of my goals is to create a Skillshare class, and now it's 2021 and I actually did it. I created a Skillshare class, and this class is actually a staff pick, which means that it met Skillshare's certain criteria that, I as a teacher went above and beyond for my students because I wanted them to learn how to create a face filter. And that will actually be in the link in the description if you want to check out that class. So this class is all about how you can create a face filter, and it's actually really easy to do because I think one of the main struggles that I had when I was initially wanting to create a face filter was that I kind of saw all these face filters and I thought, this looks absolutely really hard to do, and I'm not really, a 3D artist, so how can I even enter the space of like 3D and AR? And so what I discovered when I actually went and created my own filters is that there's actually a way that, illustrators or primarily 2D artists can fit into the space. And so that's kind of what this class is about, / who it's tailored for. And so this class is tailored for those who primarily work in 2D. All right, so enough about my class and more about my experience. So with the Teach Lab program, what happened was that I was paired with people at Skillshare, and they actually helped guide my process of how do you structure a class. Because I think the other hurdle, in addition to before not having enough time or not feeling like I had enough time, the other hurdle to creating a class is the fact that, with a lot of things, how do you even start / where do you even start? So with the Teach Lab program, Skillshare was able to give me some more insights and best practices on how to create a class. Certain things like, what an outstanding thumbnail might be, or even, what the structure of the class might look like, which I'll share with you later on. And they went as far as providing video editing help, which was actually really nice and really helpful because even though I do know how to video edit myself, what I wanted to see was how a Skillshare editor might edit my videos so that moving forward, if I do post more classes on Skillshare, then I have an idea of how I can, create courses that look and feel Skillshare worthy. And I think I rambled long enough about, the context of where my Skillshare, teacher experience stems from and what I felt about that. Overall, really good. And I think what it's triggered in me anyways is me feeling like, oh my god, wait, it's possible to create more Skillshare classes. So I'll be doing that in the future. Oh, and the other neat thing about my class too is not only was it a staff pick class, it was actually featured on the main page as well as the illustration page for quite some time. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually, when I found that out, I kind of cried, but that's only because I just felt really seen, and I felt like all of the hard work that I put into the class showed for. So it just felt really good knowing that they thought / Skillshare thought that my class was worthy of being featured, and it was worthy of, being a staff pick class. So yeah. Alright, so moving on to how you can structure your Skillshare class. And I actually bought my laptop over here, so I'll go over this with you. So to start, you're going to need, of course, a catchy title. And it should be really succinct, of course, and it shouldn't be super duper long. It should be maybe 3 to 10 words. And that's because, this is the first thing that students will see, and of course, it's stuff that they might search for. So with that, the next thing that you'll need to do is you're going to need to come up with your class description. And within your class description, this kind of gives, the students a little brief summary of what your class is about and who the class is for, as well as, why is this class useful? So what are the materials that are needed? That can also fall in there. And for the next section, you're going to have a project description. And usually for your project description, what they'll do is they'll serve as, a summary of what is it that you're teaching. So next, you're going to have your class trailer. And the class trailer is actually the free video that people can watch. And this should actually be the hook, right? It should tell your students why it is they want to learn the skill. It should address any pain points, and it should offer solutions to your students. And what I mean by that is it should have something of value for your students. And the way I actually like to think about the intro that they don't really mention is I actually like to think about it through the lens of the 4 Ps of it's either sales or persuasive writing. But essentially what the 4 Ps is that it's promise, picture, proof, and push. And so the first P is promise. So what is it that you're offering them / what's in it for them, right? What's the value that you can give them? Next, we have picture, which is essentially where the emotions come into. And of course, when we're talking about the 4 Ps, it doesn't have to go in this 4P order. It could just, mash around. But second thing is picture, which is essentially, imagination, right? Imagine, and you're invoking a feeling. Invoking. I don't know. Anyways, the picture part is the storytelling element of it. All right, and then we have the third thing, which is the proof. And for the proof, this is, where you pull out reviews, you pull out testimonies, you pull out stats, or, something that shows your credibility. So who are you to say that, this class is amazing? Who are you? And this part is actually so that you gain, the audience's trust. And for the fourth point, this is the push, or maybe it's better known as, a call to action. So in video 2, we're still in the intro, and this is the part where you preface it with, what this class is about and also what this project is about. And you can even throw in what the materials you need are. So that could be one video in itself. And if, parts of it feel really long, you can, of course, cut it into different sections. So a quick note I want to add is that the section should be at least 1 minute long. So if it's a little bit too short, make sure you just combine it. And then once you get into, I'm going to call it the meat of your video, what that'll entail is, so I'm going to refer back to my notes, but you're just going to have an intro, some demonstration tips or recap, and then, your outro. So it's really nice if you can, have, once you end a section of your class, do a little, outro to introduce learners into your next section. So for example, okay, now that we finished learning how to sketch this, let's move on to putting on some color. And so in your next section, you're gonna, put on some color. But it just gives learners an indication on what the next step would be. And then, of course, there's the wrap-up, which is the conclusion video. And in the conclusion video, you usually congratulate your learners for making it through. And of course, you can do a recap of all of the things that the learners have learned and, maybe some key takeaways. And of course, there should be a call to action and a sign-off, like, bye. This is just a general guideline. There's, of course, different ways in which you can structure your classes, but I thought this was really helpful, especially, as a beginner, when you just step in, you're kind of really lost, and when you watch a bunch of Skillshare videos, you'll notice that everyone does it in their own way, but I think having a template and a guide to begin with is a really good place to start. So hopefully this video was helpful, and if it was, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. Maybe that's too much call to actions, but do as you will, and I'll see you around for the next videos. And of course, take care and keep shining. Bye. So those are the 4 P's. So again, the 4 P's are, the promise, what's in it for them. The second is the picture, the storytelling element of it. Third is the proof. So, who are you? What's the credentials that you have? What's the reviews? All of that stuff. And then the fourth is the push or the call to action. So the intro of your Skillshare trailer could be, looked into through the lens of that. So that's tip number 1.